Hello, welcome to episode 5.
Oh, that sounded very hello, friend.
Okay, it's Friday afternoon. Hello, welcome to Two Times Dementia, and that's episode 5. I'm Frank,
I'm Gary.
I'm Tommy.
and we're here to help. Hopefully, the reason for doing this podcast is to help people who have been sadly diagnosed with dementia and share our experience, the journey we had, well, particularly these two gentlemen had with their fathers when they were both sadly diagnosed with dementia. So, Gary, dementia statistic of the day.
Dementia statistic of the day is unfortunately, a lot of the statistics we've been providing over the last few weeks haven't been that great, because it is what it is, I suppose. And one thing that was that I looked at this week was that despite the fact that dementia is the number one cause of death in the UK, in 2020 there was 2.5 times more funding spent on cancer, which is, I don't know, is it bizarre? It just seems a bit out of kilter, bearing in mind it's the number one disease. And the other thing was probably about 25% of those that die with dementia have never been formally diagnosed. So that won't appear on their death certificate. So despite the fact in previous episodes I've given you some high numbers of the percentages of deaths related to dementia, the fact is it's very, very unreliable, and it's a lot worse than is actually reported.
That's quite a big thing. I think a lot of, like back in the day, it was, oh, he's got Alzheimer's. So I think it was never classed as anything, and it's probably still going on.
Wasn't it?
It was just his memory is gone.
He's a bit of doolally, a bit of dawdled in it, and I guess that's a case of it. Sometimes it's never diagnosed formally, and it gets to the point for they deteriorate quite a lot, and it's never actually stamped as being dementia.
Yeah.
It's just quite sort of worrying. But so who's on this week, Frank?
Good start,
Well,
Larry.
one of the good start, Larry. Well done. One of the key things we picked up for one of the earlier episodes was Steve Johnson relayed the tale of how the trouble he had organised his mother's affairs, and we put the rationale behind having a power of attorney. So Stuart Bain for Anderson-Bain Solicitors has kindly come in today to explain what power of attorney is, why it's so important, how you go about getting one, what the process is, likely costs, and the various powers that are entailed, and how much more straightforward that is, and some of the much more complex and challenging and draining alternatives. So I don't know what you guys' experience was with power of attorney.
Yeah, we were quite fortunate in the sense that we managed to get my dad in to see Stuart at an early stage. So we were granted power of attorney very early on, but we found that having the power of attorney opened every single door that we needed opened during the process, whether it was banking, whether it was medical, the care home, etc. The first question was, do you have power of attorney? Yes, we do. And it was very easy after that stage. So I can understand and appreciate the difficulty that Steve had in his sort of journey as well. And I guess that's why we've invited Stuart along to try and emphasise the importance and the criticality of getting this done.
I think it's going to be good to get a lawyer's point of view. It's not something you would generally think about. We need to get power of attorney until something happens.
I know, but it could be too late.
It could be too late. So I think it's going to be good to get Stuart's view and help on what's happening.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, let's bring in Stuart, and we'll get some further information on powers of attorney.
Tidy.
Right, then welcome to our next guest on Us, the Two Terms in Dementia. This afternoon we have Stuart Bain. Stuart is from local solicitors Anderson-Bain. They've been established for how many years, Stuart?
25 years now.
So it's fair to say you're well educated and you're quite authoritative in power of attorney.
I'm a seasoned campaigner, yes.
Great, so that's a great start. So what is a power of attorney?
A power of attorney, in this instance, is a document which allows an individual to appoint an agent to act for them. And the particular type of power of attorney that we have in mind is called a continuing power of attorney. And that's one that subsists beyond the loss of capacity of the person granting it.
Yeah.
There are two sets of powers in a continuing power of attorney. One relates to financial affairs and property, and the other set of powers relate to personal welfare. These are matters like where an individual might stay, what they might eat, medical decisions, and even what they might wear.
Okay. So I guess it would be when would it be advisable to take out a power of attorney? You know, when are you thinking along those lines?
I think, I mean, there's probably, I mean, we're doing this in relation to dementia, but so I guess you could probably take out a power of attorney any point for any reason, but obviously we are focusing on this dementia side, I think.
You're absolutely right. Anybody over 16 can grant a continuing power of authority. As a matter of practice, it tends to be middle-aged or older folk.
Sure.
But obviously illness or accident can happen at any time. So it's generally advisable for anybody over their mid-20s to consider granting power of attorney.
Okay. I mean, when it comes to dementia, I guess it's something that we were fortunate that we had power of attorney for our dads. And one worrying statistic that I've just looked at in the last wee while is that there's probably a huge percentage of people with dementia don't get diagnosed with dementia. So because they don't get diagnosed with dementia, nobody's going to look at a power of attorney as well, which is going to cause mayhem when you're trying to sort of navigate the system. And
yeah, that's not actually the case. Somebody who's making a power of attorney, as long as at the point of instruction and at the point of signing, they have capacity, can make a continuing power of attorney. Now, a solicitor will generally judge capacity, but if they have any doubt, they'll refer to a medical professional. Okay. I have to say I've had 2 or 3 cases in the last couple of years where I thought there was no prospect of a medical professional confirming capacity, and they have done. So they do take a fairly liberal attitude, and I think that's because they realise how important power of attorney.
Yeah, absolutely.
so would most people come into you looking for a power of attorney for their loved ones? Would they come to you when there's already been a diagnosis anyway, or?
No, I would say that most people come when they can see that a relative is failing, but perhaps hasn't been diagnosed yet.
Okay.
Yeah, they would get a bit worried at that point. What about the actual process of making the power of attorney? Is it a long, we've been through before, and just to explain, is it that difficult process?
Not at all. It's very quick, it's easy, and it's relatively inexpensive too.
Yeah.
The grantor of the power of attorney signs a document, the person who's going to be the attorney signs a document, and the solicitor certifies capacity. These 3 documents are then cobbled together and sent to the public guardian. Okay, that's it.
The terms are always much the same, and I guess you're not specifying anything different.
The terms can vary because the powers that are conferred on the attorney will depend on the circumstances of the individual granting it.
Yeah, sure.
But there is a generic template that tends to be used.
Sure. Yeah.
What's the sort of timescale from the initial discussion with yourself to actually get formally granted? What's the sort of general rule of thumb how long that actually takes?
Again, it depends on the circumstances, but it can be done very quickly. One problem at the moment is that the Office of Public Guardian, where these documents are registered, is taking about a year to register them. But if there is any urgency, the solicitor can expedite registration. So if it's required for an urgent medical decision or to access bank accounts, it can be accelerated.
I certainly remember from my experience that when my dad was in the process of it through yourselves, we needed that expedited for him to get into the care home as well. So it is obviously, it's doable if need be. So that, yeah.
Yeah, and you would have needed the powers contained within the power of attorney to have any input into the care home decision. So it would be very important.
Yeah, okay, circumstance.
I guess we need to look at as well the benefits of having a power of attorney and advantages or disadvantages to not having one. You know, what sort of things is it going to stop you doing? Or, you know, that's a thing.
It is hugely beneficial to have a power of attorney. If you lose capacity and you don't have power of attorney, the courts get involved. You're then speaking intervention orders, guardianship orders, delay, expense, and probably most of all, loss of control.
Yeah.
Because you're then within the remit of the courts.
I guess even talking with doctors on behalf of that person becomes as difficult as talking with anyone regards financials matter.
Absolutely.
You don't have a power of attorney.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The welfare provisions won't have been granted. You then have to wait for the guardianship order. It can take months and months because medical reports psychological reports, mental health reports, and independent financial reports are all required. So it's long, it's tortuous, and it involves continuous involvement with solicitors. Whereas with,
I went down.
you really,
So what is the cost of a power of attorney approximately?
well, there's two elements to the cost. There's a registration charge of £96, and the cost for drawing up the power of attorney is generally £250 or so.
So it's relatively inexpensive for the benefits you're going to receive for that anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've obviously discussed the sort of benefits and the advantages of making a power of attorney. Who should you generally appoint as, or who takes sort of, who is the power of attorney in most cases? Is it the husband, the wife, and or whoever partner? Yeah.
That's a really,
Or is it the children, or who takes that?
essentially, it's got to be somebody that the individual fully trusts, and somebody who knows their likes, their dislikes, their foibles, their attitude to things.
It doesn't need to be relative then.
It doesn't need to be a relative.
Okay.
Either my real life, yeah. Okay.
Sometimes someone that isn't a relative can be possibly more inclined to do what's best for them as opposed to what the family member might do.
It's a heavy responsibility.
Yeah.
If you have two or more attorneys, it's essential that they get on. If your affairs are particularly complex, then you need to be sure that your attorney can handle that complexity.
Okay.
I guess as well, like, question came to my mind. Can they be amended in any way? As things go, can you add to them or do anything else with it?
Add somebody onto it or take somebody off and replace them.
Change. And
Yeah. Provided you still have capacity, you can change your attorneys, you can add, remove, you can also change the terms of the power of attorney. It's a very simple process.
And if you don't have capacity,
yeah, that would need to be done before the.
Yes, if you don't have capacity, you can no longer appoint, nor can the attorney himself or herself appoint another attorney or change the power of attorney.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
That's a
So
good
once
point.
it's done beyond a certain point as well.
At the point of loss of capacity, the die is cast.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the big point, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Do they need, does it last a certain length of time at all? Do they need renewals at all?
No. And that's another critical difference from the guardianship order, which you would need if you don't have power of attorney. Powers of attorney don't need renewed. They last until the grantor dies or until they recall or cancel the document.
I guess it's quite interesting that once it's set in stone, it's set in stone. And you know, lots of families have lots of falling outs, and there must be terrible stories where things are done that aren't in the best wishes of the person with dementia, etc.
Yeah, the current system overhauled a previous system which was introduced 35 years ago. And that original system was heavily criticised because vulnerable older folk were being taken advantage of. So the public guardian supervises the current system, and it works pretty well. There are, on occasions, disagreements between attorneys, and in the last resort, the sheriff court would intervene.
Okay. I guess it's one of these things, and this leads on to the next question, that a lot of people don't know about a power of attorney. They've heard of it, but they don't actually know what's entailed. They don't know the benefits of it and how critical it is as well. And then my dad, we got it from a dad, and I got it from mum as well. We spoke to somebody else of a similar age, and we said to them, "Have you got power of attorney?" "Yeah, I've got a will." It's like, no, it's a totally different thing. So I guess this sort of question, how do you best introduce the topic to somebody of a certain age? Okay, somebody younger, I say, yeah, it makes sense to do it, but it's how do you actually introduce it to someone? Because it's when you actually read through the you know, we'll decide what you eat, where you live, blah, 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 it can be quite intimidating that as well.
I think the primary consideration is that you're obviating any difficulties in the future, not just for the grantor, but for the family, any carers involved, and friends. It's a proactive step. If you don't take it, then everybody suffers in the long run.
Yeah, okay.
I guess that kind of leads on to one of the other questions, was if you don't have, or you're not going to get a power of attorney, what alternatives do you have to kind of safeguard your finances, your property, you know, are there any would having a joint bank account with the person, does that alleviate anything, or
Yes.
still a
For folk who don't or can't afford the cost of setting up power of attorney, they often amend a bank account into joint names. So you have an older relative and a younger one, and the idea is that if the older one loses capacity, the younger one can operate the bank account.
all right? Yeah.
That, of course, doesn't deal with welfare issues, just financial issues. You can also have a bank mandate, but again, the problem there is that the person who has the mandate, his authority will lapse and capacity is lost.
Yeah.
So there are alternatives, but they're not terribly attractive.
No, it doesn't seem. Yeah, it doesn't seem that. It seems power of attorneys covers it fully.
Power of attorney is heavily recommended, not just by solicitors, but by the medical profession, just because it preempts so many difficulties for so many folk in later life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, once they've actually lost capacity, then power of attorney, that has to be the medical people have to get involved, etc. And at that stage, like you say, it's a long process anyway. So once you get to that stage, it's even longer as well. So what do you do in the meantime if someone has lost capacity, but you need to look after their finances? How does that work?
Well, you can get an intervention order from the courts. An intervention order is for a kind of short, sharp action. But if permanent supervision is required, then it's a guardianship order.
Okay.
In both of these cases, a bond of cation has to be lodged with the court, and that's an insurance bond for good behaviour of the guardian. That can be expensive. And there's also accounting requirements. And as Tom mentioned earlier, you have to renew the guardianship order every 3 years. So it is a tortuous process.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, you mentioned guardianship. So I guess when you put up against power of attorney versus a guardianship, the power of attorney kind of comes out
On
top.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For a whole plethora of reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange because, I mean, until my dad was diagnosed with dementia, even we knew it was something that was there, but we never really did anything about it. You wouldn't ordinarily enter into a power of attorney unless you needed to. So I guess it's trying to educate people that were elderly parents, and something even elderly, should be anyone should probably have a power of attorney. You would recommend that for anyone regardless anyway?
I've noticed a huge difference the last few years in the number of folk wanting to make power of attorney, and it's because word is out there. People are speaking about it, and that's great.
Yeah.
Because when you get involved in the legal system with guardianship, it's delay, it's worry,
It's a headache
it's
in the
expense.
head.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we were quite fortunate with Dad having it, that it really was kind of faultless when it was the bunks, whether it was the care home, the medical profession. That was the first question. Do you have power of attorney? Yeah, here you go. And that just opened the doors up. It's the key to making the process simpler in every single thing that we get involved with. So I guess for anyone that's listening here, it's key that you need to consider this sooner rather than later, and it is relatively inexpensive as well, versus the benefits.
When power of attorney is put in place, it can sit there for 10, 15, 20 years and not be used. The financial powers, for example, between spouses probably just reflect the de facto arrangement anyway.
Yeah,
Most spouses have joint bank accounts. So it's there for a rainy day. It might be needed. Hopefully it won't. But if it is, it just saves so much angst.
I guess you could look at it much like a will nowadays. I mean, when you're younger, you don't think about a will until you think they're a very old person. But now you're being encouraged to take a will. It's much the same for me now with the power of attorney. I'll say to people, do you have power of attorney? It's something that you don't think about until something happens. But I guess, it's coming alongside. It's a natural thing to be looking at.
Well, that's why this is such a valuable discussion, getting word out there, and encouraging people to put these powers in.
I mean, it's funny, you're speaking about a will as well. And I don't know if this applies to power of attorney, possibly not, I don't know. But I remember a couple of years ago, we had a relative that wanted a will done. And I got costs for you, and I put it to them, and they says, oh, no, I've got something off the internet from 1999. So could folk actually be sort of conned into taking an internet power of attorney as an auction as well, or is that, wouldn't it be so authoritative, or I don't know?
you have to be very careful. The power of attorney is tailored to the requirements of the particular situation. And as with anything downloaded from the internet, you have to be sure it's been drawn up in accordance with Scots law, and that Scots law has jurisdiction.
Go through a solicitor anyway, so
It's still got to be, well, either go through a solicitor or a doctor or a dear minister. They can all sign the capacity certificate. But I would guard against anything from the internet in these circumstances, because the public guardian will reject it if it's not kosher.
For sure. Yeah.
no, I mean, I guess it is a bit of a minefield if you don't have it. And then a couple of the guests we've had previously, they've spoke about it as well, and they encountered a huge amount of difficulties because they didn't have it. And as I said earlier on, simple things like banking and medical stuff, and it just was you can't do that because you make it part of a tummy.
It's not until you're actually going through it that you realise how difficult it is without a power of attorney. That, like you say, that's the first question you get asked when you're doing something for the person. Do you have power of attorney?
It's risk management for financial institutions, because there have been cases where individuals' affairs have been malused, and court action is then taken against the executors and or the bank. So it's still more important to have it.
I mean, I guess for anyone that's watching this, and I know firsthand, we've dealt with Stuart, and it was a really sort of very easy process because the stage my dad is at with his condition as well. So for anyone that's sort of worried about, sitting in front of, I know they're scary guys and they're very, very standoffish. But
It's just because I haven't got a pint of beer like you guys.
They never offer. I did offer. Right. But I guess it is really a very, very simple process. It's not challenging whatsoever. So for anyone that's considering it, please do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a takeaway from it. I think just get one.
Often clients, when they want to make wills, also make powers of attorney. It's an ideal opportunity to discuss both matters.
Absolutely.
Because essentially you're discussing the same matters when you're alive, when you're no longer alive.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's a great point. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's been very informative. I mean, Tommy and I knew a wee bit about it before, but there are people that just haven't got a clue about power of attorney, and as I say, the actual importance of establishing it sooner rather than later as well.
Yeah, we can hopefully encourage somebody to go out and think about it, and get that power of attorney in place before anything, God forbid, happens. But no, I thought it was very informative.
No, that's good. Yeah. What we'll do is, for anyone watching this, we are anticipating organising a sort of get together at some point later on here in the which will be tap room. Stuart and possibly some of his colleagues will be there. Stuart will maybe get a pint. Do you manage a pint that time?
I'll be there.
You'll be there. And that'll be an opportunity for anyone to have a one-to-one with Stuart and any of his colleagues about power of attorney, and just get a bit more tailored responses if you have something specific you want to ask them. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Right then, that was obviously a very interesting episode. Guys, what was the key things we learnt for Stuart at Anderson Bain?
I think, I mean, we already knew part of it because we were fortunate enough to get my dad, or to get power of attorney granted for my dad as well at a very early stage. And it was simple, but when you look at some of the things that Stuart spoke about as well, about if you don't do it, how difficult it is, and even the fact it can take up a year to get stuff done if you don't have that in place as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's something that you don't think about in your younger years. You think, and like you mentioned, the will and the power of attorney, it's such an absolute minefield if you don't have one. You've got financials, the house, and things you don't want to think about. And you can't even go to speak to a doctor without a power of attorney. I think it was good to have Stuart here to just...
I think as a wee bit of a myth that to get a power of attorney established, it's a wee bit invasive and it's very personal. Yeah. But I mean, as Stuart explained, it's a very, very simple process for potentially one conversation with Stuart and a sort of get together with him. And then the cost is relatively inexpensive as well. So it's nice, though. You'd like to think it wouldn't be prohibitive for folk to get that in place with the cost as well.
Yeah, it is. It's really easy to do. And it's just, I think what we're doing now is it's letting people know we've been through it. Stuart's going through all the time with his customers and that.
Yeah.
You need to get one done. I think that's the whole, even if everybody's healthy at the time, and
Yeah.
everything's going fine, you wouldn't think of getting a will when you're 60, 70-year-old, but nowadays, I think you need to plan ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to think of the problems you'd have if you had somebody with sort of like a large estate or you know, lots of savings, etc. Then that would be extremely difficult if you even get that in place. And again, it's emphasising the power of attorney is it's in the best interests of whoever's getting diagnosed with dementia. It's for their benefit long term as well.
Yeah. No, I think
Take away a lot of worry in the long term. So I think strong advice for Stuart is get it done.
Then I wait until it's too late to get it done as well. Yeah.
Get it done, put it in place, and then actually it's one less thing to worry about, because if you have a lot of things to worry about if and when if it comes to pass,
it does make such a difference.
the more prepared you are, the better, and
Yeah.
the alternatives are difficult. You know?
Aye, well, I mean, you touched on what else you can do, joint accounts and that, but it doesn't cover you.
No,
You need that.
It's hard enough work without any that extra burden, so
I know.
avoid it at all costs.
No, it was good. No, I appreciate Stuart coming in, but
Worthwhile for Stuart.
I guess it's that time before we actually. It's a chore, is it, Dina's beer tasting caper?
I was just thinking,
Are you
aye.
getting fed up with it? Is it?
No.
No, I didn't think so. No,
Oh.
yeah.
I was just thinking it might be beneficial to have a beer of the week.
Well, self-care is important, and looking after yourself while you're going through these journeys is vital. So beer of the week is our 5 minutes of self-care.
So this week, if anyone has noticed, we're actually in the OGV podium,
Which is where the two terms are
which
going to
is
be.
the two terms. It's two terms. What's happening with the two terms?
Saying. Well, it's part 3. We've got a two terms part 3,
When
27th of September.
and who's playing?
We're playing. Sibling Sons are playing, and the Late Breakers are playing, and there may be to be added
At least one.
special guests.
There might be another
Could
special
be up
guest.
to
Yeah.
2 local bands. Piper,
Right, well, Eric Doyle
Eric
Also,
Doyle.
the fantastic Eric Doyle.
So we're heading towards
here at the podium.
the 27th in here on this stage on the 27th. But that's digressing from the beer.
Which it's a chore, but we're better doing it.
It's for your benefit that we're telling you what the beer
So
kind of thing.
we'll go for the wee one first, right? Which is apricot peach pastel de nata,
How much percent is it, guys?
4.8%,
Oh,
and it originates from Portugal, I believe.
that's nice.
So will you go first, Mr. Webster?
Aye, I can easily go for a
You weren't ready for it, were you?
no, I thought you were. You always go for. Oh, it smells like Camola foam.
Showing your arrangement.
Oh, that's nice. It's easy to drink.
Well,
It's a bit like a.
it's apparently it's based on the Portuguese delicacy, kind of sort of custardy thing.
We custard tarts.
Ah, yeah.
Aye. Well, it's funny because I'm getting a bit of flip flop. You can the noise a flip flop makes when you're walking.
Aye.
It kind of hits you there. It's smooth
So it means you're being on holiday, does it?
on holiday. It's really easy.
Before I actually drink it, I'm thinking Play-Doh. You smell Play-Doh? Doesn't it?
Play-Doh and cremola.
Ah, definitely.
That's nice. And it's 4.8%.
Aye.
4.8%. This was chosen by Mark Dooley he's the bar manager at OGV Taproom.
Rejoins,
Give
Mark.
Mark a shout.
Big choice, mate.
So that's that one. The next one is Spicy Cerveza at 4%. So
Spanish.
it's Spanish. So I'm presuming it's just like a normal beer, but I'm not sure if it a spicy element is.
So you need to tell you.
They didn't tell me. You better.
You better, right,
Let's say
that's
Cremola foam again. Or Play-Doh.
Oh, I'd touch your throat. It's easy, but there is a bit of spice there.
Is there?
Aye.
So that would be good if you were like attending a concert at the OGV podium the 27th of September.
It's probably best drunk on the 27th of September
And it's a 2 times.
over there somewhere.
Over there,
on
and
the
the
front.
bands will be in a stage here.
We need to be kind of dark, dimly lit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a bit of like sand.
Oh, it's definitely got
Sand.
sand.
Aye.
It's I'm thinking ginger.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ginger catches your throat. That's the word I was actually, yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Well, this was chosen by Sarah from OGV Taproom, so Cheers, Sarah. So this is 4%, but I could recommend either of them because they're not tenants.
You could drink it. It's not tenants.
It's not tenants, but you still drink them regardless.
You
Anyway.
could drink it. But that would be in tenants. I'd say if you didn't have tenants handy, I'd say one.
It's an okay substitute. Absolutely. Because I think it would be great to drink here on the 27th of September.
27th September, 2000 Part 3, here at the OGV podium.
I'm not sure. I think we'll remind everybody that this is the 2 times Part 3, September 27th.
27th September,
So-
or September 27th.
If ever you want.
Aye.
Raising.
We're raising funds for Forget Me Not.
Forget Me Not.
Wonderful local charity.
So please, if you can make it, it's only £10 for 3 bands. Everything is going to Forget Me Not charity. We might even buy you a beer, one of these, if you're really good and you behave.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Aye, absolutely. Tickets on sale now, and we look forward to seeing everybody there.
So we've only got one episode to go, which is the sort of like tail one. But for anyone that wants to come along, we'll be planning a date at some point in October, November. All the guests that have been on the podcast can be at the tap rooms. If you want a one-on-one with any of the guests to speak about anything that we've mentioned and discussed, and we'll let you know about that in due course. But I think that's us. Meantime,
Thank you very much.
Cheers, you guys.
cheers. Thank
Cheers,
you.
everyone.
Cheers.